Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollywood Wargaming. And today we have a very exciting unit reveal for Star Wars Legion, one that was previously hinted at, one that is now official, and that is Din Djarin, also known as the Mandalorian himself. Yes, that's right, we finally have a unit reveal for the Mandalorian, and I think he is going to be a pretty exciting operative for the Rebel faction. But let's not play around here, let's jump straight into the Mandalorian's unit card and take a look at what this new guy has to offer. And right off the bat, we're going to see that he is a single model operative, which is expected coming in at 125 points. And that's not a super surprising points cost for an operative. You usually see those weaker support characters sitting around 90 points, with some of the harder hitting operatives up in the 125 range, with some of the more extreme force users like Maul coming in at 160. So 125 points isn't surprising from a model that we expect to do a lot of damage on the battlefield. However, things do get a little bit more interesting when we go ahead and take a look at his upgrade options here. First up, the Mandalorian does have a training and gear upgrade, which is somewhat expected and standard for an operative trooper, especially from one that has the expertise and kit that the Mandalorian has. But things get a little bit funky when we see that he has 3 armament upgrades. And it's pretty hard to talk about this without jumping ahead on this unit overview, as Din Djarin does have a sort of mechanic going on, in which he possesses a surplus of gear and equipment, and you will be able to equip him accordingly, to represent his sort of growth throughout the series, which is pretty thematic and cool, because really, if you step back and look at the Mandalorian series, it kind of does play out almost like a Zelda video game, where he sort of unlocks new tools, weapons, and armor that help aid him on his adventure. And these upgrades are going to vary in points cost, and will allow you to equip Din Djarin in a way that can represent him as a sort of cost-efficient bounty hunter operative, or upgrade him and increase his overall points cost, making him somewhat expensive, but also become a very powerful operative who can potentially go toe-to-toe with other enemy heroes. And I think that is a very fun and thematic dynamic with Din Djarin that's not only going to allow him to fit into a lot of lists and a lot of different playstyles, but also represents his growth as a hero in the Star Wars universe. But jumping over to the right side of the card, we're going to see that he is a trooper with health 6 and only courage 2. And I think that is appropriate. The Mandalorian is very hardy himself. I think he deserves health 6. He gets wounded a lot throughout that series and still prevails. And while I don't particularly see him as cowardly, I think courage 2 is appropriate. The guy is brave, but he's definitely also very realistic, and he doesn't have that die-hard foolhardiness that most Jedi have. But of course, being clad in full armor is going to give him a red defense die, and after that we're going to see that the Mandalorian has a simple surge to hit. And I do also think that is very appropriate. The Mandalorian's definitely a good shot, but I don't think he is the absolute perfect marksman gunslinger. And as we'll see later, he does have a lot of alternate methods in which he can achieve criticals, so I'm not really too sore about that. But now we're going to take a look at the bottom of the card, and that is going to be the Mandalorian's weapons. And we actually have a pretty eclectic array here, which is what you would expect from the Mandalorian, especially with all those wrist gauntlet gadgets. And first up here is going to be his melee weapon, which is his last resort, Vibroblade Dagger. And that will be a range melee weapon with just 1 red die and the critical 1 keyword. Not horribly efficient here, but keep in mind this is Din Djarin's last resort weapon, and I feel like this weapon profile does kind of hold true to that, especially when you compare it to his other weapons. And yes, he does have 3 baseline weapons, which is pretty fun for a trooper unit to have. And the second is going to be that Vambrace Flamethrower. That of course is his wrist-mounted flamethrower, with range melee to 1, sporting 1 black die with the spray keyword. And this is actually pretty significant here, because right away we're going to see a divergence from the Boba Fett style of doing this Mandalorian getup, and rather than having all of his weapons allocated to command cards, Din Djarin is going to have some of those innately built into his unit profile. But lastly, we are going to have Din Djarin's IB-94 blaster pistol, which of course is his Wild West style blaster, and this will sport 3 black dice at range 1 to 2 with the versatile keyword. So right off the bat, we're getting 2 unique range weapons here with pretty impressive keywords. Spray on the Vambrace flamethrowers, making it highly lethal against high model count units, and versatile on the blaster pistol, allowing it to target units outside of melee combat. So what do I think about this unit card before we dive into the keywords? Well, I think it's pretty robust. We have a nice healthy 6 wound unit with a red defense die, surge to hit, and then 3 very generous weapon profiles that are going to suit a variety of different skirmishes. And honestly, that's what the Mandalorian is all about. He's a walking Swiss Army knife with all the tools you need to confront any different situation. So if it comes down to it and Mando is on a desperate one-on-one fight, he can pull out that vibroblade dagger and stab in once with a powerful red die with critical 1, almost guaranteeing that he gets a hit with elevated critical potential. After that, he has his flamethrower that is very short range, but will be able to dish out damage against high model count units, and potentially get him out of sticky melee situations that he does not want to be in. After that, we have his blaster pistol, which is somewhat middle of the road, but the fact that it has versatile built into it is definitely a very unique take on that style of gunslinger character, as it will allow him to shoot out at other targets despite being engaged in melee. So yeah, I already think this unit is a lot of fun and very fluffy and cohesive with the Mandalorian narrative so far. But we will take a look at this unit's keywords that are going to peel back his character and reveal yet another layer of what he can do and his purpose on the battlefield. And first up, we are going to have an action keyword that is going to be grapple. And this will basically allow you to take a trooper unit at range 1, and as long as it has no more than 1 model in it, and is within line of sight, you will be able to move that unit within movement range 1 of Din Djarin, aka squad cohesion. So yeah, basically he grappling hooks somebody with his whipcord and pulls them near him, as he does many times in the Mandalorian series. It's definitely a fun gadget that they make a lot of use of, and I think having it implicated in the unit this way is far cooler than just having it be a card like the Whipcord 1-pip that Boba Fett has. But what's really cool about this ability is the fact that you don't have to use it on an enemy unit, you can even use it on a friendly unit, as the Mandalorian does use that cord in his benefits in methods that aren't always hostile. So again, a very fun and interesting way to implicate the Mandalorian's tools into his unit card. But after that, we are going to have another new keyword, one that is probably going to be a little bit more unique to Din Djarin himself, and that is going to be Mandalorian Pride. And this keyword is going to grant him either 1 aim, dodge, or surge token each time he performs a guardian action for a friendly operative or commander units. And this keyword is actually going to have some pretty potent synergies later on that we will look back at. But logically, the next keyword to follow that up is going to be Guardian 2, which the Mandalorian has. And this just really does make sense on Din Djarin. The guy really was pitched as a merciless bounty hunter, but he does have a heart of gold, and you can tell that right off the bat from episode 1. And when this guy is sworn to protect something, he absolutely shows no quarter. So you combine Guardian 2 with Mandalorian Pride, and you have a hero who is very much centered around protecting your other heroes, and benefits personally from doing so. But the Mandalorian isn't all defensive. He does have the Sharpshooter 1 keyword, meaning he will ignore 1 level of cover when attacking an opponent. And that's a very simple keyword to have, but it is very much welcome. So with the entire card and keywords wrapped up, what do I think about Din Djarin off the bat? Well, I really like this unit. I think it's a lot of fun, I think it's a very creative way to do it, and I like the alternative takes they did when compared to Boba Fett. Integrating the whipcord and flamethrower into his basic unit profile gives him a lot more battlefield utility, and he also benefits from being a somewhat bodyguard hero, which is really cool when you consider that most other Rebel heroes only have white defense die. But that also creates a sort of schism in how you are going to play this guy. Do you want him to be an offensive powerhouse and engage your enemies, or do you want him to be a little bit more defensive? It's not nearly as cut and dry as a unit like Obi-Wan or Darth Maul, and I think a good commander will flip-flop back and forth these strategies each match in order to make the best use of Din Djarin. But let's go ahead and take a look at Din Djarin's upgrade slots here, more specifically the armament upgrades that he has. And spoiler alert, there is a bit of a pick and choose game going on here, as there are 4 potential upgrades for armaments that Din Djarin can take. However, there are only 3 upgrade slots. So if you really want to go in on the Mandalorian, you are going to have to pick and choose which upgrades you take here. But as I always say, just because you have an upgrade slot does not mean you need to fill it out, as that can often be a major points trap. But let's go ahead and take a look at Din Djarin's 4 armament upgrade options, as I'm sure they are all going to be very familiar to you. And first of all, 2 of these upgrades are actually non-weapon armaments, which is pretty unique here. Most of the time, things like this get relegated to equipment upgrade slots with specific use only, but it seems like they wanted to really tighten down the Mandalorian's gear into one category that you had to choose from. So right away, the first non-lethal upgrade we have is going to be the remote Z6 jetpack. Coming in at 10 points, this is going to be the jetpack that kind of just vanishes from the Mandalorian series, but I'm not going to be the one to point that out. It's pretty much your run-of-the-mill Star Wars jetpack, but it does have some sort of remote control feature, which makes it a little bit more nifty. And we see that here in this 10-point upgrade, as it gives you not just Jump 2, but also the Outmaneuver keyword. And that's just pretty nice to have. Outmaneuver makes your dodge tokens a little bit more effective, and being able to get over anything that's height 2 is really, really useful. So while this is pretty much a standard jetpack upgrade, there is a little bit extra oomph there. But for a second non-lethal armament upgrade, we have something a little bit more interesting. That of course is going to be the Beskar armor. So yes, it is worth mentioning that your baseline Mandalorian is not equipped in his final form. He has his basic bounty hunter armor, and the Beskar armor comes as an upgrade. But oh wow, what an upgrade it is at 25 points. This is going to gain you a defensive surge permanently, which of course means your armor saves are going to go from 4+ to 3+, and you will also gain the Indomitable keyword. And this is pretty interesting because I did kind of expect something like Immunity Pierce, but I think that would be a little bit too straightforward. And honestly, when we see the Mandalorian don that Beskar armor, he becomes a little bit harder to put down, and becomes a little bit more dedicated to staying in the fight. So I do think the Indomitable is a fitting keyword. And it really just makes me think of him being punched in the face again and again and again by that Dark Trooper without giving up, because that Beskar armor just gives him a little bit more of that knightly courage. But overall, I think this armor upgrade is a fantastic one to take. It's not cheap at 25 points, and will bump him up into the 150 point range. But that will make him very survivable with a 3+ armor save, and help nullify that relatively lower courage value that he has. But after that, we are on to our lethal armament upgrades, the fun stuff here that we were all expected. And first up, coming in at 15 points, is going to be that Amban Phase Pulse Rifle. Now, this is that dual-pronged rifle that we see him use against the Jawas that first featured in the Star Wars Holiday Special. And here in this game, it is going to be sporting a 1-to-5 range equivalent of a sniper rifle with a red and white dye. Now, this is also going to have the high velocity keyword, meaning you cannot spend dodge tokens to evade this attack, which is pretty impressive, but things only get cooler when we see the other new keyword that is disintegrate. And this keyword is going to make it so if you score a critical hit during your attack roll, your enemy is not going to be able to spend green tokens during his defense roll, meaning they will not get to negate attacks with dodge or surge tokens. And I think this will make the Mandalorian a relatively interesting sniper unit, but I do feel like it's a bit of an oddball with the rest of his weapon profile, and unless you're playing a high token sharing faction, you may be skipping over this upgrade. But lastly, our fourth armament upgrade is going to be, of course, the Beskar Spear. And here you are going to have a melee weapon with 1 red die, 2 black die, and then 1 white die for offense, backed up by both critical and pierce 1, making this melee attack a very reliable, albeit not too robust, method of putting wounds onto your opponents. But wait, there's more. You will also gain impervious when defending against melee attacks. And at just 12 points, the Beskar Spear is basically going to turn the Mandalorian into a relatively soft core version of a Jedi. Sure, he's not the best melee unit with the Beskar Spear upgrade, but when you consider that alongside his other weapon profiles, you will have a unit that's going to have a lot of different tools to handle enemies, spanning from melee to range 2. And I really do find that to be quite interesting about this character. You have a lot of upgrade options to expand his durability, or further diversify his arsenal. And honestly, with all the upgrades given, I don't really see one true way to play this character. And I think this adaptability via equipment pretty well represents Din Djarin as a character. But we're not done yet. Din Djarin is, after all, an operative, meaning he does have his own deck of command cards, which will further represent him as a unit. And first up here, as his 3-pip, we are going to have a clan of 2, which activates Din Djarin and 1 trooper unit. And first up, much like his Mandalorian Pride, Din Djarin is going to gain one aim, dodge, or surge token of your choice, but he will also gain a permanent keyword here, and that is going to be Teamwork X. X being the other trooper unit that you activated with this card. And for those of you who need a refresher, every time a unit with the Teamwork keyword gets a token, be it aim, dodge, or surge, the correlating Teamwork unit is also going to gain that token. And this is a permanent keyword on Din Djarin, and one that he's going to allow to push on to any other friendly trooper unit, which is pretty incredible. Basically, this guy is instantly going to latch on and synergize with any other heroes you have, and become a token generator for them. And this is just a very awesome command card. It's not only useful on the battlefield, but it's also very thematic with the Mandalorian, as he is kind of roaming from town to town, and making alliances and teaming up with other individuals along the way, creating a team of two who can stand against all odds. And I know that term is originally applied to him and Baby Yoda, but if you really look at the series overall, he continuously teams up with other individuals to accomplish different goals. And giving the Mandalorian this kind of flexibility with the teamwork keyword is very befitting to his character. But that will move us along to his 2-pip card, which is, "Weapons are part of my religion." A very fun quote that we got from very early on in the series. And this card will be activating just Din Djarin himself, but he will gain Arsenal 3 and 1 Surge token for each enemy unit at range 1 to 2. So yeah, basically this is going to turn the Mandalorian into a walking weapon powerhouse, where he's going to go full ballistic on his opponents. And right off the bat, you're going to see that there's almost no way that you can go wrong with Arsenal 3 on this guy. You have 3 baseline weapons, and then 2 upgrade weapon options. And you can basically drop 3 melee attacks, 2 melee attacks and a ranged attack, or even 3 ranged attacks should you equip him with that disintegration rifle. So yeah, there's really no wrong way to play this card, and it's going to allow the Mandalorian to put out a whole lot of firepower in one turn. On top of the Arsenal 3, the Surge tokens are just nice, and having them stacked up for a turn is nothing to scoff at. But that will move us along to our final command card for the Mandalorian, which will be his 1-pip, and of course, that is going to be the Whistling Birds. I don't think anyone expected it to be anything else, as the Whistling Birds are literally Din Djarin's ace up his sleeve. And this card reads, whenever an enemy unit at range 1 of Din Djarin activates, or at the beginning of Din Djarin's activation, you may perform the following attack against up to 3 enemy trooper units. And that attack is going to be 1 black die at range melee to 1, with Surge to Crit alongside the spray and high velocity keywords. Again, high velocity means you can't dodge it, you're going to have Surge to Crit here, and spray meaning that you're going to roll a die for each model in that unit. So essentially, Din Djarin's 1-pip is going to be a very potent, close-range area of effect attack that can go off before the Mandalorian himself even activates. So what do I think of these command cards overall? Well, honestly, I think they are absolutely A+. A Clan of 2 is a very versatile command card, and will allow you to throw Din Djarin into a lot of lists and make them work maybe a little bit better, especially if you're trying to get offensive with those rebel heroes. Combine it with his Mandalorian Pride and Guardian 2, and you will have a one-way power generator for green tokens. After that, Din Djarin has his 1-pip and 2-pip card, which both boost him pretty proficiently in combat. His 2-pip allows him to make the best use of his weapons, and will further benefit the points you sink into those weapon upgrades, while his 1-pip will be a more ferocious close-range attack, one that will put pressure onto your opponent by either making him scared to clump his units into certain areas, or act on units with face-up order tokens. And overall, I think that Din Djarin is a fantastic unit to add to the Rebel arsenal, as he is highly flexible, and you can more or less equip him to tailor your list. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you a fan of the Mandalorian's unit card or his command cards? And if so, how would you run him? I'm really curious to see which armament upgrades you guys would go with. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Beskar Spear and the Beskar Armor, but let me know in the comments below. And as always guys, consider leaving a like, subscribing, turning on notifications, all that fun stuff, and until next time, take care.